Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show. We're coming to you live through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch here on Sunday, May 23rd, 2021. I am Andrew Pizzelli. He is Christian Lauber. You can reach us anytime in the comment section of the live stream or by emailing the show, the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com. Lots to get to here today. We've got plenty of playoff action between the NBA and the NHL. We'll also have some NFL offseason trade rumors to get to, and plenty more of leftovers from the past week in sports. So, Christian, I'll just start. How you doing? It's a gorgeous day. Let's try and see how fast, we can get through this stuff, because it is spectacular. I'm saying this is the best day yet of 2021.
Well, we got to beat the thunderstorm, too. There's going to be a thunderstorm, but it's like 90 degrees and sunny, so I want to get out there,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just look at you. I mean, you clearly spend a lot of time in the sun.
I need it badly. Now, part of that is my camera, but also, I've been inside for a long time now, so it'd be nice to get outside when it's
You need that vitamin D. Just ask Gordon Hayward. You need vitamin D.
That's true.
Where do you want to start? Do we want to start NHL? Do we want to start NBA? Obviously, the NBA Celtics stuff last night is fresh on the brain. Where do we want to start here today?
I think we go ahead and start off with some NFL rumors. I think that's a little quick hitter, and then we'll move on to the big stuff, the NHL and NBA.
All right. So for those of you, the big one that started circulating, I think Friday, and it's been one of those things that's been rumored in the chat room rumors, the Reddit rumors, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now there's actually some reporting on it. The Patriots are interested or have placed calls on Julio Jones, which I think would be fantastic, great, and which obviously spawned all of the memes of Julio Jones spotted at Logan Airport.
Yeah.
But do you believe any of these rumors? I mean, I guess the report is that the Patriots called, which, of course, what does that mean? People call John Lynch. He called on Tom Brady, 3-4 years ago? People call on people all the time. Hey, can I trade for so-and-so? And the answer is, hell no. But then the report comes out, ooh, they called on them. Do you believe any of this? And how, if it is true, and if anything happens, what would you want to give up to get Julio Jones on this Patriots team, if you wanted to?
So, I would take him on the team, pending he is healthy again. But he's been pretty durable without that last, I don't know, maybe one season. Maybe season and a half with the hamstring issue, but I would definitely be interested. I just ask, what's the price? And I don't think the Patriots are going to, give Atlanta what they want for Julio Jones. It's probably going to take a first-round pick, I would imagine, or, something like that, a couple seconds, and then maybe a player. So I don't see it happening. The only real reporting I've seen solidly is from Mike Giardi of NFL Network. So
yep.
Other than that, I haven't heard much. And it was like, we just saw in the comments here, internal discussions. It's like, well, yeah, if you're not having discussions about the guy, then I think you're nuts. So
yeah,
how far do those rumors go? I have no idea. But I always ask, what's the price with the Patriots? And I just don't know if they can get there.
Yeah, they're in this state of, they went all out in free agency, and they kind of need to build it with the draft picks now. You spent all that money.
Yeah.
Julio's going to cost you a penny, too. He's going to cost you a penny to get, and he's going to cost you a penny to keep. Is that kind of what they're trying to do right now? I don't know. There's also like one little note says he's interested in playing with Cam Newton, which it's like, why? Who is interested in playing with Cam? What? Maybe to like, I'm interested in playing with Cam. Oh, I don't want him to be the quarterback. I just want him to be on my team. I love Cam, but Mac Jones can throw me the football, please.
Yeah, I would think Jones squared is where you want to go with that, right? I mean,
true.
Mac Jones is your guy, so Julio and Mac get the Jones boys in there, and off you go. I think maybe you're a Super Bowl contender.
Here we go. This is Colin in the comment section. Jonathan Kraft. Hey, did you hear that Julio was on the trade block? Belichick. Yeah. Internal discussion complete.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much probably what that boiled down to. I mean, yeah, I would take Julio in a second, but I agree with you. It's going to probably cost more than the Patriots are going to want to give up, and I just don't know if that's like a piece that they need right now. I mean, does it do good to like load up this Patriots team for this year and next year? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would matter. We'd know better how to answer these types of questions if we knew what Mac Jones was, right? Yep. If we knew what Mac Jones was, we'd say like, yes, keep getting him weapons. I don't want to start like already. We went from like, oh my God, last year was horrific, we have to start rebuilding it, to now we're just going to start mortgaging the future to go get Julio Jones. It ain't time for that. It's nice, it's fun, it's a good little offseason rumors.
Well, there's whispers out of Alabama that Mac Jones is impressing everybody in camp, which I'm not sure how he's impressing anybody because he hasn't thrown the ball yet. But hey, if his mind is ready, which that was the rumor, and he's kind of the guy, then if I'm like Julio Jones or someone like that, I feel like that's the guy instead of Cam Newton. But hey, I mean, Cam is well liked around the league and in the locker room. So
yeah, the only other spot potentially for Mr. Julio Jones I saw is Arizona, and I only say that because I don't know if that's. I mean, obviously there's teams you could like hypothetically say, oh, they've got the cap space, they could. But DeAndre Hopkins like tweeted about that he would restructure his deal to get Julio Jones there. That's kind of
DeAndre Hopkins is pretty. That's saying something because he's a money guy, isn't he?
Yeah. So
I blame him for that, but
no, you can't fault them.
Gotta make yours, but
that would be interesting. Oh my gosh,
that would be a high-powered offense. So they have the defense. I don't know, but their offense with Murray and those two.
Yep, it'd be awesome.
It's a good one.
I'd say the two other biggest off-season type things where everybody's just keeping track of is Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers. And kind of the update is there's no update. I don't think we're going to get anything. Well, June 1st is a date to look for. After June 1st is when some of this Aaron Rodgers stuff could potentially kind of culminate. That's just a whole lot of legal stuff and cap stuff and maneuverings. I don't know. I think the Packers might be stuck. And I don't know. I don't know if would they rather just trade Aaron Rodgers for like a 3rd round pick just to get him away, or would they rather like just go down with the ship and stick it to him and force him to like retire or just be pouty? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the question. I don't know. I mean, I think you got to get something for him, but do they actually pull the trigger on it? I don't know.
Yeah, he's in Hawaii right now, evidently. So. He's showing about as much focus in the Packers as Tom Brady was his final year with the Patriots.
Yeah, he's doing fine. I think he's all right. He's living his life. Yeah, and in Jeopardy, obviously, he applied for that position too. So who knows?
I don't get him. I don't get the guy, but we'll have plenty of time to dwell on that. All right. Do you want to go? All right. Good news or bad news, Christian? Where do we go here? Do you want to like start with the good and then get into the bad, or do we want to start with the bad and end on the good? How do we want to go?
Well, I think we start with the Celtics because that was the most recent and it's fresh on my mind.
Okay.
And it's pretty ezy to talk about.
Okay.
It kind of suck.
So Boston Celtics opened their playoff series last night with the Brooklyn Nets, and they fell 104-93 in what was a competitive game. I think a lot of us weren't sure if that would be the case. No Jaylen Brown. I think people thought, well, this is the Nets series to win. I think a lot of us still feel that way. I know even after last night, I still feel that way, that, the Nets should win this series. That was a stealable game for the Celtics. The Nets played terribly in the first half, couldn't hit a three at all. Unfortunately, the Celtics were only up, 5 at halftime, and you just knew the pendulum was going to swing the other way. The Nets were going to hit shots, and it swung the other way in a hurry. So the Celtics got down, I think, by as much as 15. They battle back. It's like a 2-possession game late, and then obviously at the end, it's like they started playing the foul game with like 50 seconds to go. So that's why it ends up being an 11-point game. But it's encouraging to have seen the effort from the Celtics last night. Guys like Rob Williams out there hustling. I mean, Nesmith, great minutes. You got good minutes out of Jabari Parker, surprisingly. An X factor that like they kind of kept in mothballs after getting him. You didn't really see much of him, and then they trot him out here early on in a playoff series. Is that the best the Celtics could muster? Obviously, we know the Nets can play better, but was that the best the Celtics can muster? And is this series going to be over now because that's it? That was their best shot, and you're not going to get better than that.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the first half, they were pretty good. They were flying all over the place, defending well. The answer to your question is hell yeah. But I mean, look, I thought they played decently. Was it their best game ever? No. Offensively, they were not great. Defensively, they were okay. They were at least competing on the defensive end. But the two disappointments, once again, I mean, Tatum had a good first half, I thought. I thought when Tatum had the ball in his hands in the first half and the offense kind of ran through him, I thought the Celtics looked a lot better. Unfortunately, they had some guys that missed shots, one of which was Kemba Walker. So Kemba on the night was 5 of 16. He had 15 points. He was also minus 21 with 3 fouls, early on in the game.
Yeah.
He's a guy to me that if Jaylen Brown is not in there, Kemba has to be much better if you're going to even have a chance with anybody in the playoffs, not even just the Nets, but especially against the Nets. He's got to be his second guy, and he wasn't. And beyond that, I mean, Jabari Parker is what he is. He's a role player, right? He's like +7, +9 on the night. That's exactly what you ask of a guy like that. Tristan Thompson's another one that's just disappointing. I mean, he's like minus. Let me just look it up. He's minus 16 on the night.
I was surprised to see him in the starting lineup. I don't know if that's because they weren't sure what Rob would be able to give them.
Yeah, probably.
Because when Robert Williams was out there, he was a force. That guy was best player on the floor for the Celtics last night.
Yeah, and when he was on the floor, their defensive rating goes through the roof. When he comes off, then you have guys like Kemba and Tristan paired together, and neither of them play a lick of defense. And no matter what, if you're throwing Tristan out there with that group that the Nets are playing, you're going to have a mismatch somewhere.
Yeah.
And you have a couple, obviously. Kyrie is obviously a problem, and also Durant. Unfortunately for anybody else in the league, especially defensively, you can't really play defense anymore in the NBA. So if you try to get up on Durant, he's either going to make a shot over you or get a foul. It's pretty much just like clockwork.
Well, he's allowed to karate chop people in the throat and then, and then flop and get a foul call.
Because he's the star. Yeah. So, look, I thought this series was going to be over in 4-5, and I don't think this changed anything. I think the Celtics, they kind of had a chance here, and I thought, unfortunately for them, there's a third quarter in every game, and they can't seem to get it together in the third quarter. I thought Smart overall, I thought was good, and that's kind of what you need from him without Brown. And if Kemba sucks like he does, you need Smart to kind of pick up some of the slack. But once again, he just shoots you out of the game in the third quarter. I mean, he took like 3 threes and just bricked them all.
Well, it was Kyrie made one on him, and he came down the floor. You knew he was going to try and get him back. And then he tried to get him back like 2 possessions in a row, which was bad. But I'd say overall, I'm not going to nitpick. Smart is going to have to take shots. He's going to take shots with no Jaylen.
For you, because that is what we do.
I'll nitpick. I'm not going to nitpick like, oh, well, he took one ill-advised shot. I thought Marcus on the whole was good last night.
Yeah,
it was really only like 1 or 2 instances where I was like, oh man, we know he's going to heat check this right now. I'm disappointed. The guy I'm most disappointed, Kemba, we've kind of expected from him this year. I mean, he can't pick up 3 fouls because Kemba's a guy that like really eases himself into the game, and I thought he didn't want to get aggressive into the paint in the second half of that game when he got back in there, but he didn't have no rhythm. His jump shot was off, and so he can't be picking up fouls and like sitting for 30 minutes of the game and like almost 2 hours of real time, and then they need him to come in and be hot. So as soon as Kemba was kind of in foul trouble, I said I'm not expecting much from him this game. Evan Fournier played good defense. He played nearly 40 minutes, only 10 points. He's the guy. They need more from him because somebody has to hit shots. If it's not going to be Kemba, it has to be Fournier because somebody needs to open up the floor a little bit for Tatum. And Tatum needs to make some adjustments. The way they're defending him, I did not expect things to be as difficult on the offensive end for the Celtics as they were last night. Like it looked so much harder when you look back and like just watch like that Wizards game. And it's like there was very few instances of you saw Tatum like taking a guy one-on-one and taking a shot in rhythm or getting to the cup easy and scoring. Everything was contested. Everything was hard. A lot of like he's pulling up in the paint and they're like immediately trying to trap him. I saw Kyrie a number of times trying to like race from the backside and come strip the ball from him. He's got to make some adjustments either to recognize and kick out quicker or just go up strong and go into the contact if you get that deep.
I thought the first half he was pretty good, though. I thought he was pretty good with the ball in his hands. The second half, it was a struggle.
Yeah. He only scored, it was until late, he only had like 4 points through like most of the second half.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
The first half was really good, I thought. And then I thought the second half, they couldn't get him the ball. Or this is what I'm saying about Smart. Like, I don't mind he's taking shots. He needs to now. But it's the timing of the shots and where he's taking them from. It's like you're in a spot where you need a basket. They're on a run. It's like an 8-0 run, and he jacks up a 3 for no, ungodknown reason. And it's just like, that's this type of shot that just takes you out of the game. So it's like, but I do agree with you on Fournier. I thought he was going to give you more. I mean,
I liked his defense. I was so surprised and encouraged by the defensive effort of everybody last night. That team left it all on the floor. Effort-wise, we've questioned that all season long with this team. They never let go of the rope. It could have been easy. That could have turned into 15 with like 7 minutes to play, and they just let go of the rope, and they lose by like 30-something. That team fought to the end. So I'm encouraged by that.
Well, I thought,
but there's no room for moral victories anymore.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, they're not going to win the series. I don't think that's...
Can they win a game?
At home, maybe. If there's fans in the crowd, maybe. But again, if you're down 2-0 coming back here, do they even care at that point? I'm not sure. So, the only other encouraging thing to me was Tatum. He was 6 of 20, right? But he had 11 free throws and only 4 3-point attempts. So it's not like he was just forcing it. I thought some of the mid-range game he did force, but I just feel like on any given night those are going down. So honestly, I expect him to kind of improve as the series goes on. They got to find a way to get on the ball, and if he's going to be trapped, like you were mentioning, guys got to hit shots. Kemba, Smart, or Fournier, they all have to hit shots. That's the only way you can stay with this team. Otherwise, you're just going to get blown the hell out. It's going to be over in 4. I mean, the combination of Harden, Durant, and for the most part, I thought Harden was a passenger. He gets to the free throw line because he snaps his head back in every play. But outside of that, it's Durant and Kyrie are really the what you're looking at there. And even that, it's like Kyrie doesn't have the ball in his hands that much. It's mainly Durant. I mean, Durant is just a problem, for everybody. So that's where I go immediately. But those 3 in the first half had like 20-something points, and they finished the game with 80.
Yeah.
So, like, 60 in the second half, you're not going to stop them all game. But, I mean, overall, I thought they played as good as they could, and I was like, where the hell is this all season? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the Celtics have a shot. If they can replicate that defensive effort, and if Kemba and Tatum are just like 10% better, whether that's a 3-point shooting in general, then they could win game 2. But I am with you. It's like that was not even the Nets' best game. If they play their best game far exceeds what the Celtics' best game without
I
Jaylen
thought the
Brown
Nets
can
kind
be.
of sucked in the first half. I'll be honest.
Brutal. It looked like they were playing schoolyard basketball.
Yeah.
Lazy passes, just guys dribbling around and then jacking up threes.
Yeah.
The reason they were like, 1 of 11 from 3 or 0 of 11 was because they were taking horrible shots.
Yeah.
Horrible shots.
The only way the Celtics get a game is if it's game 3 or 4. Otherwise, I think it's just over in 4.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is, obviously we don't have much expectations for the Celtics, going anywhere in this postseason. If you're looking at the Nets and thinking like, oh, this is the team to beat, I certainly don't think so. I think if that Nets team, we've been saying this, runs into a team that is not riddled with injury or inconsistency, they're just going to get out executed. And it might not be until the conference finals and you're playing like a Milwaukee, one of these teams that's like been together for like 8 years, or a Denver or a Utah. It might not be till then. Their talent alone could see them through the Eastern Conference. I still don't think it's going to be that easy for them against the better teams. If that's the way they're going to play, hey, let's just kind of like run around and have fun, and then they still haven't been tested yet. It almost got there. If it had been like a 1 or 2 possession game for longer in the fourth quarter, we would have gotten to see like, what are these guys doing crunch time? What if they're down? We still don't know these things yet about the Nets. And until we do, I'm considering them the Clippers of last year, who are going to like coast on talent and then pee it all away. So
I think they're going to go on a deep run. Maybe to your chagrin, but they're going to go on a deep run. They'll be there in the end.
Well, I said, but they might not meet a team that will be able to exploit them until the finals. That's a deep run.
Possible, sure. Yeah, it's possible. I just think, like, if you look around the league right now, it's setting up for them. I feel like the Western Conference, there's no set team that's going to be, like, just an absolute buzzsaw like the Lakers. If they can get their crap together and the three of them are going, I think they're the best team in the league.
Let's talk about that quickly. So the other series, there were 2 other. There's been 3 other first round games. Milwaukee took game 1, nail biter with Miami. We'll see how that series plays out. I think we all expect Milwaukee to come through that. You never know. Miami had their number last year. Portland beats Denver in game 1. That's a bit of an upset. Technically an upset because they were the road team, but Dallas beats the Clippers in game 1 as well. So they're up 1-0 in that series. But the other series ready to start. You got New York, Atlanta, which is going to be interesting. Philly, Washington, who I think everybody said are the Sixers frauds. You're going to find out because the Wizards are playing with house money, baby, and Beal and Westbrook are just going to get to do whatever they want. Hey, guys,
also wanted it.
Carry us.
The Wizards wanted this. They tanked that game against the Celtics so they could get the Sixers instead of the Nets.
And so if there's a team that could just like run the Sixers out because they got nobody to stick with Westbrook and Beal, the Sixers are primed. I would not be stunned to see the Wizards take that series because same deal. Do the Sixers have it in here? Till they show it to us, I ain't believing in them. Nobody looks at them as like, ooh, the number 1 team.
I don't know if Washington has enough to win the series, but they will make it tough.
If Embiid decides to just be a monster, the Wizards have nobody who can hang with him. Like if Embiid needs to be the best player in the series. If he's not, the Sixers are in for a fight.
Oh, I think they're in for a fight anyway. I just think I just don't know if the Wizards have enough. Like Russ and Beal are good, but who are their big guys they're going to stand with, like Embiid and match up with like Tobias Harris? Like I don't know if they have enough firepower, but they make it tough on you regardless. And they're honestly in the last like quarter of the season here, they're one of the hottest teams in basketball. So
yeah,
don't let that blowout to the Celtics fool you. They came out and smoked the Pacers, and now I think they wanted this matchup. And it should be good theater between the two, Westbrook and Embiid. They don't like each other, so.
The other series in the West, Utah and Memphis. Memphis there because they beat San Antonio in the 9-10 game. And then they hang on and knock off Golden State. I'm stunned a little bit. This Memphis team, get this. Good friend of the show, Matt Murphy, gave me this stat last night. The Grizzlies are the only team in the playoffs without a current or former All-Star on their team. Nobody on that team has either been an All-Star in the past or was an All-Star this year. They're the only team in the playoffs. That's impressive. To beat no matter what the roster is, it's a Greg Popovich team always plays well, and you saw that. That was a dogfight with them. And then you knock off Steph Curry. I'm very impressed by the Grizzlies. And I think the Warriors hurt themselves both against the Lakers and against the Grizzlies. I thought the Warriors should have won both of those games. But credit the Grizzlies, man. One of the youngest teams in this fight right now. And Ja Morant's kind of finding that next level of how to play the game. He's got all the ability in the world, but now he's starting to figure out how to pick his spots and when to take over, that sort of young player progression. The Grizzlies are really, really interesting. And they're a fun team. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they match up with Utah. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell's going to play or not.
Yeah, that'd be my question. If he's playing, I think the Grizzlies probably get waxed. But at the same time, I don't know. They just came through. They also had to play 2 other games, so who knows what they're going to be in this series now if they gave everything they had to just get in.
Yeah. And then the other series, Phoenix and the Lakers. Lakers, who looked like they had no interest in even being in the play-in tournament, that they were going to are they tanking this game to play Utah? Do they not want to play Phoenix? What is going on here? And maybe it's just in LeBron looking human and just worn out for most of that game.
Yeah.
And then obviously he hits the Superman shot over Steph Curry from 32 feet out, and they win. I just look at the Lakers and wonder, what do they have in the tank? I mean, if LeBron and AD need to be the best players on the floor for that team to do anything, because their supporting cast is just a whole bunch of role players that really can't do much on their own.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they just look like they're a haggard, just beaten down team. And I don't think LeBron has it anymore to carry a team like that through a whole postseason. He doesn't. It's just at this point in his career, he can be great. He can be great for a game or great for a quarter. But if you're asking him to be MVP LeBron for 48 minutes a night for a whole series, it's not going to happen. Didn't happen last year. He needed Anthony Davis to be that kind of guy. I also think without Rajon Rondo, I said this early in the season, everything is harder for the Lakers. You just watch them play. Dennis Schroeder is a good little player, but he doesn't facilitate the offense. Rondo got all those guys easy layup looks. Spoon-feeding guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis, easy buckets. Those two have to do it all on their own now, which they're more than capable of doing. That just wears you down more. And you can tell this team just looks, after playing deep last year and having the inconsistency and the injury this year, that team just looks beaten up. And I just think the Suns, who are young and fun, and they're led by Chris Paul, and that team just wants to run. I don't. Could LeBron go MVP mode, God mode? I guess. But I kind of see the Suns taking this series in 6 games just because the Lakers just look gassed.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like before I say that. But I will say there's a lot of miles on LeBron at this point, especially you go back to last year. They had the break, but then they came back and they went on that run in the bubble, a lot of games. And then you're back again this year, and they were injured. And then here you go. You had to play in the play-in, and now you're in a series with a Phoenix team who will try. So I don't know if they'll win it. I think it'll probably go at least 6 or 7. I don't know if the Lakers, it just might not be their year again. Repeating is hard in any league. In the NBA, it's still relatively difficult because of the gauntlet, especially with the amount of games and time off they've had in between seasons here. And like I said, I just think LeBron has a lot of miles on him. Is he going to be able to stand up for another run like that? I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll have many more of these games by next Sunday to kind of see how some of these other first-round series have shook out. The NBA postseason got kicked off on Friday and yesterday, so much more of that will crystallize. We will already be on to the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs by the time we come to you again next Sunday. And I'd say, Christian, there are really only 2 series that are close right now, maybe 3. And we'll hit on the Bruins last. We'll just kind of quickly go through. But if you look at all these other series, I mean, Toronto and Montreal, they got started late, so it's only 1-1. But Winnipeg up 2-0. Tampa up 3-1 on Florida. Vegas up 3-1. Colorado up 3-0. Carolina, Nashville 2-1. Pittsburgh and the Islanders, that's turned into a great series.
Yeah.
That series is even 2-2. Your thoughts on that series so far? Because that has been, obviously we're interested in the Bruins, but if you're just watching these series and wanting to see like the matchups play out, this series is probably going to be the best one out of this first round.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a big fan of the Islanders game just because it puts me to sleep half the time. But when they want to play, it works,
baby.
Yeah, when they want to play, they're pretty good. And as soon as Pittsburgh took a couple games there, I said, maybe this thing is just not going to, the Islanders are usually that team that's like pretty good during the regular season, and then they just kind of crap out. But it turned into a good series, and, obviously the Islanders have pretty good defense, which, is not great for viewership. But against a team like the Penguins, who just want to fly around and skate past you, they're blocking a ton of shots as usual, and they got some skill guys up front. So they've turned it into a series after I thought maybe Pittsburgh was going to run away with it and just kind of put the clamps down. But overall, I think that might be the closest series in terms of I have no idea who's going to win it. I think that could, you get into a 7th game, and anything can happen in that one. So I think, if I had to guess right now, that's probably going 6 or 7 at the very least. Who's going to win it? I have no freaking clue because I think the 2 teams are very, very close.
Yeah. And now we get to the Bruins and the Capitals, who their first 3 games of this series all go overtime. And I know I said it to you, I've said it to a couple other people, but going into Game 4, I thought something had to give. We were due for a goalie blow up, or because there's always like one game in a series. Sometimes there's more if it's a mismatch series, but in these tight series where we think the teams are close, there's always going to be one just like runaway game, right? And it could have gone either way. You had no idea. Tuukka's just as capable of having a complete just blow up as anybody else. And in this case, it was the Bruins in Game 4. And that game was close early on. The Bruins, I think, their power play to start that game, atrocious.
They made some changes.
Third period, though, they figured something out. And hopefully that translates going forward because they win that one, essentially going away. And I'd say it's one of these series that the Bruins could win tonight, and they win this series in 5 games. But you're going to look back, 3 straight overtime games, and the Bruins were lucky to win those games because of how poorly they played for segments of regulation and then to dominate in the overtime periods and win. Because it's very easy in hockey to dominate and lose, which is kind of that thing we've been afraid of with the Bruins. It's kind of been their thing. They outshoot a team 25-2 and they're down 1-0.
Yeah.
That's just kind of been this like horrible little MO the last couple of years. They have, for better or worse, taken care of business. They figured some stuff out on their power play. I think this series is over only because I don't know what Washington's going to do in goal. They kind of have no answer there. And if the Bruins have tweaked their power play here, I just think up 3-1. If it was an even series, it would still go either way. But up 3-1, I really... It easily could be coming back to Boston 3-2. But I just look at these teams now. We said that the Bruins should have the advantage against this Washington defense. Washington looked tired in that 4th game as well. Obviously, they get a day off here, travel home. They got to get to rest up. But this is most definitely the Bruins series to lose. I know hockey can change quick, but you have the advantage in net. It showed last game. The Bruins should be able to, a veteran team that they are, for the most part, should be able to go in tonight and just take care of business and put the series to bed. Don't have to come back to Boston.
Just end it.
Just end it tonight.
And I think a couple of keys in this series. Look, I think early on in the series, the Capitals were outplaying the Bruins for the majority of stretches here. And then you get into that first overtime, game 2 in Washington. And 39 seconds in, Marchand ends it. That's a key win. You're coming back here 1-1 as opposed to 2-0, which it very well could have gone that way.
Yeah.
And then in game 3, I thought they got dominated for the most part, especially in the third period. But I think they found themselves a little bit in the overtime set. So in those 2 overtimes, they outshot Washington like 20-7 or something like that. And I thought they started, instead of trying to kind of match Washington's physicality and kind of look at their game in that way, they started just moving their feet and skating. And I think, especially in that overtime game where, the blunder, honestly, you got a break there from the goalie, just leaving it behind his net.
Well, that's what happens, though. You got a goalie that hasn't played a whole bunch. It's, the third straight overtime game. These guys are tired. Mistakes get made. That was a bad one, though. All-timer bad.
It was a bad one. Yeah, and I look, I don't think it's just the goalie there. I forget who it was. Schultz, maybe? You got to come over and get that puck no matter what. Craig Smith just skates in and tucks it in. But even in that overtime period, I thought the Bruins were far better than they have been in the series. And then much more the same in game 4. They did the same exact thing. They just came out with wheels instead of trying to, match physicality. Look, Washington will get run down if they play the way they do for 7 games. I mean, it's just like you go on a run like that, even after 2 games, Washington is going to be gasping for air a little bit if they just want to play physical. Yep. They're big up front, but I think their D can be had, and I think it's been proven in this series. And you mentioned it already. The Bruins had, from the outset, they had a advantage in goal. And it had to be that they did keep that advantage. Because if Rask was bad in this series, then I think it's over. But, look, I think, like you mentioned, you got to end it today. Just don't mess around with this. Go into Washington, and I think Washington's going to have some buzz early on. If you can kind of weather that and get back to your game, you have to end it today and just send it to the next series. Let's just move on here. Let's not drag this thing out, because if you get into game 6 and then 7, anything can happen at that point. If they come out today and are the better team, just put them away, and that way you can kind of get ready for whether it's going to be Pittsburgh or the Islanders. Who knows? That series might go another few days, but
get your rest.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think they're poised here to just end this thing, while Washington's already kind of down and out. I think they have a clear advantage in net. Washington does look tired, relatively. And I think the Bruins have more to give, honestly. I still think they can play better and clean it up a bit. I think that Taylor Hall line, I mean, he made a fantastic rush the other day, that Hall made, but didn't get one. I think that line is ready to get one or two, and let's just wrap this thing up today and don't mess with, game 6 and 7.
Yeah, I agree. That game is tonight, 7 o'clock. You got 4 games on the docket here today. Carolina and Nashville. Carolina's up 2-1 in that series. That's at 2:30. Avalanche are up 3-0 against the Blues. They're trying to wrap that up today. That's 5 o'clock. Bruins, as I said, at 7. And then at 7:30, you've got Edmonton, Winnipeg. Jets are up 2-0 in that series.
Keep Pasternak on that right side. I know Sacco and Cassidy changed that up. Put Pasternak on Chara's side and see what you got there. Let him keep shooting from there.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about that briefly for a second. Obviously, it kind of got forgotten and lost in the course of the season, I think, a bit, and now it's been there in the face. We haven't really talked about this much. Did the Bruins miss Zdeno Chara at all?
No.
I don't think so either. So I don't think either of us was like particularly like oh my God, they have no shot. What are they doing? Not letting Chara come back. I think we said, what's this ride going to be like? Kind of throwing it to these young guys. They have not missed him.
It's twofold, though. Don't forget, right? So part of the reason Chara is not here is so McAvoy can excel. And I think he's done just that.
Yes.
So he's not playing two sides of the ice. He's flying around everywhere, and Grizzly can kind of hold his own on the other side. Those two together have been phenomenal. So it's twofold. It's not just, oh, well, if Washington wins the series, the Bruins should have kept Chara. That's not how it works. So ultimately, I think you're going to look at it and say it doesn't matter. Like, I love Chara. Don't get me wrong. He's still valuable on the PK because you don't really have to move much. But other than that, I mean, he's doing a lot of the same that I saw when he was here.
Exactly. I kind of feel like he's kind of been invisible in this series until you see him not be able to move his feet, or he's just reaching at guys, or he's getting outraced to pucks, and that's why he's reaching. I mean, luckily he's got an 87-foot reach, so he can make up for it. But I haven't looked at it and been like, oh my God, wow, Chara's still got it, man. He's playing, he's cooking us. No, I mean,
but I think Chara would be okay on a third line pairing here, maybe. But again, I would much rather have Clifton and Miller. Now Miller's out tonight, so it's probably going to be Tenorti, I would assume, or Vakanainen, which I don't know about that. But regardless, McAvoy is the key here. If you have Chara on this team, it's going to be McAvoy covering two sides of the ice. He can't pinch, and he can't do all the things that you want a number one guy to do, which he is capable of. I mean, Cassidy said the other day he feels like he's got two sets of lungs because he never wears, and he's always out there in the biggest moments. So the Chara argument, I feel like, even if the Bruins had lost the series in 7 or in 4, if they got swept, I still think the argument is fair to say that the Bruins should not have kept Chara. I just like his leadership and everything is great, and I love the guy. But at some point, you're just done. I mean, it's just, that is what it is. That's just what happens, right? So hockey is not a game like football where you can kind of keep the quarterback alive and upright for 45, 50 years old, like Brady's going to be doing. McAvoy having the chance to be that true number one and do pretty much everything that he's able to do from a skill set point, I think that's just as valuable as saying, well, if Chara's not here, he could be on a third pairing. But I think McAvoy needs to be set free from covering two sides of the ice. And with Grizzly, he doesn't have to do that.
Yeah. This is from Samantha Pell, verified. She's a reporter for the Washington Post, for the beat writer for the Capitals. Ilya Samsonov was the first goaltender off the ice at Caps skate this morning ahead of Game 5. Any surprise there? I mean, he kind of has the blow-up. Ovechkin basically tells him, don't go to sleep tonight, buddy, in Russian.
Bitch?
Possibly, depending on your translation. Things can get lost in dialects. But he basically chews the guy out in front of the cameras on the ice. And then he kind of has a obviously subpar Game 4. Any surprise, and how long do you stick with him in tonight's game if it looks like he's, if it's going to snowball on him? Or do you have to say he's our best shot because Craig Anderson has only played 4 games this year, and we're just going to ride it out with this guy?
That's where I go. I think Samsonov the other day was not that bad. He had some blunders, and he didn't make the saves he needed to make ultimately. But in the first period, I thought the Bruins could have had 3 or 4 goals. And, I mean, luckily he got a post behind him that got hit. But overall, I don't think he was a huge issue in Game 4. I thought the Bruins were just out, honestly, the Caps, rather, were outmatched in that first period, and then on. But I don't think you go to Craig Anderson. I just don't. This kid's young. He's a rookie. He's played decently enough, and I just don't think you go to the 40-year-old. I don't know if that's the right call. So I don't question what they're doing. Ultimately, you're going to have a disadvantage in net anyway.
True. So what's your prediction for tonight for this Bruins game?
Well, I always have to go with a loss. So I think they come back to Boston and win it in Game 6. But I think Caps probably come out. If they don't come out, with fire beneath their skates, then I'll feel better about it. But I just feel like you're back in Washington. They probably want this one. and they're gonna have to weather an early storm. The Bruins, that is.
3-2 Bruins in overtime.
You always have to go to the overtime.
You know who's getting the game-winning goal? Sean Corrali, baby. That's my guy.
Due.
That's my OT hero. I still love. It feels like just yesterday, but it's already 2017. You know, he's like having a cannoli up on Federal Hill, and he gets the call. Hey, can you come and play in Ottawa tonight? We need you. And he scores 2 goals, including a game winner. Fantastic. Goes from like the third line in Providence to never going back and staying up with the big club.
From cannolis to third line starter. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So yeah, he's my guy. He's due. Absolutely due. I think the Bruins take care of business tonight. We'll see. Hey, it's hockey. Anything. You know, the Capitals, you could get a monster game from Ovechkin, right? Or, you know, Carlson, some of these guys who are just snake bitten a little bit right now.
I just have to
Does Carlson, does he even have a point in this series?
I don't know. Him and Backstrom are both no-shows, really. And between the two of them, I just feel like something's got to give here. Like, are they going to make any adjustments? Like, the power play is just like, okay, we're going to send Ovechkin on the left hash and have him one-time it right into a guy's legs. I just have to believe tonight they'll make some adjustments.
Well, this is same Samantha Pell again. She's got the Capitals power play units from practice today. This is good stuff. Power play 1 is Carlson, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, and Mantha. And then the second unit, Orlov, Schultz, Wilson, Kuznetsov, and Eller. Oh, Eller's back because he missed. Was he back last game?
He was back, yeah.
He was back last game. Obviously, he's part of their depth that they need. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see if they change anything up there.
That's a small change, I think. Mantha was on the second unit, I want to say. So
yeah, who did he get fined right for hitting Rask?
He did.
I think.
Yep, he did $5,000.
But then Orlov doesn't get anything for putting Kevin Miller in the hospital.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yep. I don't know. I don't know. And then, you know, that's only a 4-minute penalty, and I heard Cassidy say this after the game. Marchand kind of nudges a guy. It's probably a penalty, but it's the playoffs. You could let it go, and they just call interference for 2. I don't know. That
is the one thing I hate. Hockey, basketball, where the officials can really change a game. It happens in football. You call pass interference, but by and large, I mean, football is such a physical sport, and there's so many other moving parts. But really, in basketball and hockey, if the officials want, they can dictate the game. They can totally take it over and make it about themselves. Like last night in that Celtics game, it's like 5 fouls in the first minute and 17 seconds of the second half.
Ridiculous.
It's like, what are we doing? Let them play. Same thing in I think it was game 2 of the Bruins series. Game 1, they let those guys play the whole game. And if there was anything happening, 2 guys where they were just like, you know what? No, both of you. I don't care. He checked you. You just swear at him in 80 things in Slovenian. No, get in the box, both of you. Which is okay. Send in both guys. But then in game 2, it was just like, power play, power play, power play, power play. It just turns to the whole thing as a special teams game, which is just no fun. I mean, if your team wins and you score like 8 power play goals, it's awesome. But it ruins the flow of the game. And I feel like in this series, I haven't watched as many games of the other series to see if it's been that bad. But I feel like it has been bad after game 1 in this Bruins Capitals series with the calls.
Yeah, it's just like it's just
inconsistent.
Too much. Yeah, it's inconsistent. It's too much. Like, I'm of the mindset, if 2 guys are going at each other, just let it play on. There's no point in going 4-on-4, and then, you know, someone else gets a penalty, it's 4-on-3 or whatever. It just let them play as opposed to do matching, unless it's blatant. If it's blatant, obviously you have to make a call. Like Hathaway jumping on Bergeron's back and giving him like 2 face claws. Like, you can't really do that.
Can't do that.
Like, I feel like they're trying to get a hold on something that's not going to get out of hand. That's the problem that I have. It's like 2 guys scrum in front of the net. It's hockey. It's going to happen every night, like, or every time down the ice. You don't need to call that to get a hold of the game and just swallow the whistle and let it play out. If everybody starts dropping their gloves, then maybe you can take some liberties if you're a ref and just start throwing guys out. But like at that point, just let them play.
Yeah, I agree. What about, hey, Do you think we talk about it's good if Brad Marchand, does he need some of this scrappiness, feistiness, kind of just being a pest to get his game going? Is it good that we're seeing like fierce Tuukka Rask? He was blasted. Yeah. Who was it that he was blasted in the back of the head?
I think it was Hathaway. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I've questioned Tuukka's like compete
Does he really
level.
Care? Does he want it? Yeah.
He's blasting Hathaway in the back of the head. Surprised that he didn't get a fine or anything else. That's good to see. I mean,
I want to see
that's
that.
great.
Same with Charlie Coyle going after the guy who hit Miller. Like, Richie's on the ice. He could have easily gone over there. Now, he didn't see it as well as Coyle, but Coyle is a guy that's very kind of like quiet. And he's kind of under the radar. I thought he's played well in this series, but like, I just need to see some of that. Like, you're a big dude. Just go put somebody down. Just the response. The same with Rask. It's like those guys that are kind of like a little bit under the radar. Does Rask really want it? Just start punching people with your blocker. Just do it. Can't hurt that bad.
Goodness. So anyway, that's tonight. Could be a little bit of history today. Let me pull up Phil. Phil Mickelson could make history today. He could be the oldest player to win a major PGA championship. He is 50 years old. He'll be 51 on June 16th. Currently, he is -7 on the leaderboard. He tees off at 2:30 along with his partner, Brooks Koepka, who's right on his heels at -6. Obviously, it's not like either one of these guys is running away with it. It's not like Mickelson is running away with it. He could totally blow up today. I think this is a great...
Is it bad that I feel like he's just going to choke it?
No, it's not bad. I mean, it'd be bad if you wished it on him. Like,
no, I don't wish it on. Like, Phil's overall, I like Phil, but like, I just feel like everybody's talking about it. It's like he's going to be, the oldest player to ever win, and then he's just going to choke it away because you're putting all this pressure on.
Well, it's going to be kind of like, was it Love in the Masters? Who was it who had Johnson? Who had the big lead? Who had the lead going into the final day of the Masters, and then he ended up finishing like 5th or 6th. I forget because obviously Hideki was like a robot that day. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally plausible, man. I'm rooting for it though because I love this sort of stuff. Yeah. I mean, when was Phil's last major win? Let me see if I can pull that up because Pete and Gansett pointed this out. He said, "Don't forget the weekend's biggest sports story: Phil Mickelson possibly to become the oldest player ever to win a PGA championship. Julius Boros was 48 when he won in 68. Greg Norman was that? Pete and Gansett, if you're listening, Greg Norman is that what is that in reference to? But let me pull up Mickelson here. Professional wins, PGA Tour wins. He won Pebble Beach Pro-Am. No, let's see. This is European, other wins, major championships. His last major was the Open in 2013. So
2013, yeah, well,
been a while. Yeah. He won the Masters in 2004, the PGA Championship in 2005, Masters again in 2006 and 2010, and then the Open Championship in 2013 by 3 strokes. So it's certainly possible that...
Yeah.
Dad says, Greg Norman, the guy who blew the big 4th round lead in the Masters. I don't know if it was him, though. I got to go back and look at the... I remember people were looking. He was supposed to be having like, oh, is this it? This guy going to break through? I mean, he messed up a lead, too, but we'll see. I think is it... Is it better or like what helps golf more, right? We talk about these sports like golf, baseball. It's not there yet, but I mean the golfs, tennis for North America. These sports they have their following, but they don't get the fanfare of everything else. Is it good for the story of a guy like Phil pulling this out at 50, or do you need to see more of these younger kids start coming through?
I think primarily you're looking at the old folk crowd for golf, right? So it's kind of like baseball. The average demographic is probably like 50 and above. So I think it's perfect for Mickelson or a guy like Mickelson to win it. And I feel like that kind of draws more interest, right? There's going to be people that want to see him lose it, and there's going to be a lot of people that want to see him win it. So you get both sides of the coin, and that ultimately draws more interest if you have a storyline like that.
It was Justin Rose. That's who I was thinking of. He came into the final round in the lead, and then he finished. He shot 2 strokes over that day, and obviously finished in 7th. So that's who I was thinking of. This year's Masters, not ever. I know there's been some epic collapses. Pete Gansett also points out Brady will be 50 in 6 years. Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady is going to be, we all say he's winning the Super Bowl again this year. Catastrophic injuries aside, we don't see anybody touching the Bucs. And we just accept that as a foregone conclusion, and teams can just start preparing for the 2022 season in the NFL.
Yeah. We'll see what the Bucs do then.
Last kind of general sports note here to kind of round out today's thoughts. Last night at the Barclays Center, 14,000 people. Full capacity crowd. The NFL, basically full capacity. The NFL has said that they plan to have full stadiums 100% across the board come the fall. I have no problem with it. The only thing I feel like you're going to start to get friction on is like the league allegedly decided not to suspend LeBron over going to some like promotional event, which is outside of their COVID protocols. Because obviously, I think if they like suspended him for the playing game, even though like by the book that they would have been within their rights, people would have been up in arms. And you'd expect them to not take one of their biggest players and take him off the court. But they are still being extremely strict with the players. And all I want to see is, if you're going to hold the players to that standard, hold the people going to the games by the same standard. Now, I know it's probably a little different everywhere, but I'd expect or would hope that, like last night in Brooklyn, that anybody in there either had to show a negative test or is vaccinated. Because if they're just letting anybody come on in, that's a joke. If you're telling the players, don't shake hands, don't swap jerseys, don't go out, don't go visit a friend, blah, 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 and then you got Joe COVID sitting in the front row coughing the whole game. That's all I'd want. If you're going to be strict with the players still, and basically tell these guys to like be prisoners in their own homes to play the games, then the people who are coming to the stadium better be held to at least a close, if not almost similar standard. That's all I want. If they're going to be that strict with the protocols,
I assume they're going off based on the CDC's new guidelines. That's what I would assume, at least with fans. I don't know about players, but well, actually, no, they changed it for players that are vaccinated. It has to be like 85% of the team and coaches and all that. But I did see a lot of people wearing masks, and I also saw a lot of people not. So I don't know how they're doing it in terms of people that they're letting in the arena. But the players, and Brad Stevens wasn't wearing a mask all night, so I don't know how they're doing it anymore with coaches. Maybe he's vaccinated or something. I'm not sure. But the rest of them had him on. So, yeah, it's very odd. I think if you have 85% vaccination rate on your team and your organization, you can loosen some of those restrictions.
I want to try and find, if there's anybody out there listening who knows, I want to try and find what the deal is. I do know one person who may have been at the game, if I could ask. But I'm trying to like look at the Nets website right now. Like they have, okay, here we go. Barclays Center health and safety information right at the top, I assume. So it looks like you do have to provide proof of a test. And they have social distancing. Non-vaccinated patrons are required to wear a mask at all times unless eating. that's out the then it's out the window. People are just going to be keeping it up the whole time. Please note this doesn't apply to fans sitting within 15 feet of the court. Vaccinated patrons are required to wear a mask at all times except when sitting in their seats in vaccinated fan sections, which you've seen at a couple of stadiums and stuff. Okay, so it would seem then that, hey, yes, there's 14,000 people in here, but they've all either been tested negative or they're vaccinated. That's fine. That's all I'm asking. Now that's in New York. I have no idea if that's a league mandated thing. Like, let's go and look at
Utah.
Oh, I was gonna say Florida.
Utah's had fans for like all year, so I don't know.
You want to look at the Jazz? We'll see what their website says. I imagine these have to be standardized.
I would think so, yeah.
Let's see if they have a. Oh, their website is noisy.
The Celtics, they said next Friday, I want to say, or maybe, next Friday, the 29th, I want to say, when things are opening back up, they're going to be near full capacity. So I don't know what that means, maybe 75%, but.
This website is brutal. I have no idea how to find anything. This like, the Jazz have not embraced the less is more. There's literally 80 links right on their front page. Let's see. Playoffs. Tickets? Anything here about news? Game night? Yikes, this is noisy. I don't know. I'd assume it has to be probably universal to have people be in the games. Yeah.
That's what I would think as well.
I can't find anything. When do you think, Christian, when will you go to a game?
2022? Maybe?
Patriots Super Bowl, baby. That's when we'll go to a game.
I got to get adjusted to just having people around me again. So, yeah.
That better question. When are we going to do the show together again?
Honestly, I missed my opportunity to go to a game when there's nobody there. So, I mean, that's out the window now. I should have taken advantage of that.
Gone and sit 20 feet away from people.
Yeah. But the other part, I don't know. Play it by ear. We'll see. Do an outside show.
Ooh. That's possible. Seaside show. We could go right out here, run the extension cord out into the field.
Bar.
Oh, do like the the live show, we're here from the Cask and Flag.
Yeah. Cask and Flag. Yeah. Why not?
Well, speaking of the great outdoors, last week I said, get outside and enjoy. That's because it was nice and sunny where I am, and it was thundering and lightning 5 minutes up the road, thus is New England. But I suspect today it is actually sunny wherever you are right now. So
until there's a thunderstorm.
Later. That's the summer, though. That's what you expect. But,
yeah.
So that is going to do it for our show here today. Thank you for those who tuned in live. We're live every Sunday at 11 a.m. through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can follow, and subscribe on all those platforms to never miss a live show. And if you can't catch the live show, you can rewatch on any of those platforms or take us on the go with the 360 Sports Show podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. So that'll do it for the show this week. I'm Andy Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Have a good day, everybody.
See you later.